What inspired you to become a teacher, an educator, and more importantly, to teach and change lives how you do?
Before I went to college, I had a high school teacher whose name is Mr. David Brennan. From the moment you walked in that classroom, you were drawn into his stories and his life as he served in the military. Wow, he gets to tell stories and talk about his life, and then turns that into like just the lessons that we were learning in history, that I wanted to be a history teacher. And I went to these places on my own to learn the stories that are not in the textbook, because that's what draws in students. Textbooks, I'll be completely honest with you, I don't hand out a textbook. I have them, they're here, but they're a guide, and I don't need them because what I'm teaching is not necessary to the book. I mean, if they want a book, I'll give them. But I have modified the book, edited the book, put it the way that it needs to be to make the history exciting, real, honest is a good way to put it. I want it to reflect what experiences they're having in their lives. And by going out and learning about those places, and standing in Paul Revere's house, and being in the Old North Church, standing in the Capitol Rotunda, walking Arlington Cemetery, those things became real to me, and I learned those stories, and then I bring those stories to my classroom. And from that, the students ask me questions, and then begins the conversation. So that was my passion, and I have lived that as best I possibly can and given all of that to my students.
So welcome back, Perseverance Pioneers, to another episode of the Perseverance Mindset Podcast, recorded live right here from our famous Dialogue Den. And today we're talking about an exemplary topic. We're talking about exploring one of the most important topics of our time: how educators shape the next generation, not just through textbooks, tests, video assignments, and I'm sure whatever else is out there, but through experiences that last a lifetime. We all remember that one teacher who made us feel like our voice mattered. And today is a special privilege because we're going to talk to one of them that means so many to so many students and fellow educators and citizens as well. So that one teacher who encouraged us to ask the tough questions, debate big ideas, and live out the values that stretch far beyond the classroom walls. We're going far beyond that today. So our guest today is one of those rare educators, someone who has committed his career to helping students find their voice, experience democracy firsthand, and learn the real meaning of American values. Jerry Skotleski, welcome to the podcast. And before we dive in, after reading the recent news reporting, question is Mr. Bill terminal? You know, what are the developments of that investigation? Mr. Bill, there was a terrible accident, and I had to bring that on. So welcome to the show, Jerry.
It's unfortunate as of right now. It doesn't look good for Mr. Bill. He has sat here on my perch next to my desk for 20 plus years, 25 plus years. So there are many people who have offered a prognosis to try to fix him. And somebody said to make him better, faster, stronger, like the $6 million man. I roared laughing at that one yesterday. So I cannot say that it's terminal, but it doesn't look good at this point in time. So, but we'll see how it plays out. So,
all right. Well, Jerry, listen. Well,
I miss looking at him at my desk right now. So.
Oh boy, listen, there's going to be a gap there forever. It's been there for a long time. For all of us listening to this right now, it's like, we're not crazy. Mr. Bill is actually Mr. Bill from Schoolhouse Rock, and it was a staple on Jerry's desk, and he had an unfortunate accident, and it's not looking good. So we wanted to give you all an update on that. So Jerry, welcome.
He's currently in 3 pieces.
Three pieces to one, yeah. So Jerry, welcome to the podcast. We're so glad to have you on, and we couldn't be more honored to have you with us, and humbled, quite frankly. So could you give us a little bit more of your background? So what inspired you to become a teacher, an educator, and more importantly, to teach and change lives how you do?
John, first off, it's an honor to again get a chance to talk to you and to be on your podcast. Awesome. What happened was I was born and raised in Scranton. I've never left other than the 4.5 years I went to college. Yes, I did do the extra half a year.
It takes time. Things take good things. Good things take time. Yeah.
Who finishes in 4? So before I went to college, I had a high school teacher whose name is Mr. David Brennan. He was my freshman world cultures teacher and sophomore U.S. history teacher. So I had him freshman and sophomore year. And from the moment you walked in that classroom, you were drawn into his stories and his life as he served in the military. When he started telling a story, you were just in it. And I couldn't believe it. Like, wow, he gets to tell stories and talk about his life, and then turns that into like just the lessons that we were learning in history into the places that he's been. And I was just fascinated from that very moment. And because of him, I made the decision literally like freshman, sophomore year in high school that I wanted to be a history teacher. And I just fell in love with history. I had another teacher junior year who was the exact opposite, the total opposite of everything he was, where there was notes on the board every day and all we did was write. And it was just so bizarre. But what I learned in college was that the two of them were correct. The two of them were perfect, just in their different styles. One taught me one way, but the other one taught me like how to write notes and which ones were more important than the other ones and to edit. And from that experience, I took the two of them and kind of blended them together. But I still owe my time to Mr. David Brennan. And then what happened was I got out of college, I came home looking for a job, which was not easy at the time. I ended up substitute teaching at my high school. And I'm standing in the cafeteria and standing with Mr. Brennan at lunch. And he says to
Wow.
me, he goes,
Wow.
I'm retiring this year. And he goes, and if they don't give you my job, I'm not leaving. And I went, okay. And he retired at the end of the year, and I literally moved into his classroom. And he was a huge fan of Hagar the Horrible, the cartoon.
Good
And
cartoon. Good cartoon,
yes,
by the way.
he would talk about him all the time. And he had cartoon strips up around the room. And those cartoon strips stayed in those walls for 5 years. I refused to take them down. And then even when I left the room, I told the teacher, whoever was taking over, which was my student teacher, I told him, I said, you have to leave the cartoon strips up. So those were always there. Mr. Brennan passed away a few years ago. I was at his funeral. His funeral thing is right behind me on my wall. So he's always here with me. So when I have those days and I count on my wall over here of family, friends, notes, letters, but Mr. Brennan is always still close to me. And it's from his guidance that I became and wanted to help people. So when I became a teacher, it was all about, you know, they gave us a textbook. I was like, okay. But the textbook, I focused a lot on, like when I was in college, it was a lot of World War II stuff and current stuff.
Mhm.
I didn't get that. My job was European history, Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, all the way through the Renaissance. And then I got the first half a year of US history, the Revolution, the Civil War. I didn't know that much. I just didn't. I went to Boston and I walked the Freedom Trail. I went to Philly. I walked the buildings. I checked out the history. I went to DC. I went to Gettysburg. I went to Antietam. And I went to these places on my own to learn the stories that are not in the textbook because
Awesome.
that's what draws in students. Textbooks, I'll be totally honest with you. I don't hand out a textbook. I have them, they're here, but they're a guide and I don't need them because what I'm teaching is not necessary to the book. I mean, if they want a book, I'll give them. But I have modified the book, edited the book, put it the way that it needs to be to make the history exciting, real, honest is a good way to put it. I want it to reflect what experiences they're having in their lives. And by going out and learning about those places and standing in Paul Revere's house and being in the Old North Church, standing in the Capitol Rotunda, walking Arlington Cemetery, those things became real to
Yes.
me and I learned those stories. And then I bring those stories to my classroom. And from that, the students ask me questions and then begins the conversation. So that was my passion. And I have lived that as best I possibly can and given all of that to my students.
And that is just incredible. What a story. Just really clear distinction between even the teachers that you had, the educators that you had, between the textbook type and living the experience in history type. And then also learning that when you embraced it and got to learn and like went to the places like Gettysburg and, the Capitol Rotunda, all the places you went and you give that to your students. And that is that's life experience, it's life knowledge. And I think we could both agree that things happen so fast today that even if you were to hand them that textbook, when is that textbook copyrighted? When was it made? Yesterday's history is today's history. It's just things change so rapidly that
It's
that it's just such a clear distinction of a passion that you obviously have for teaching, and your students are going to benefit for you in their lives and for many years to come. So let's get into even more. So it's incredible to see educators like yourself that just don't talk about the values, you live them. and you pass them down through real experiences. Face it, students might always not remember every single lecture, every single class for in their journey called life, but that brings up something that you're known for, and I'm a little jealous of it myself after this year. And your yearly trips to Washington D.C., and you give students a front row seat to democracy in action. Can
Mhm.
you tell us a little bit more about those trips? Because those trips are just, I was reading about this in the newspaper. Like, those kids must have such an experience that, what do those trips mean to you and your students, Jerry?
So the trips actually started when at my first teaching job, and I asked permission to take them to DC overnight, and they were like, "Sure," and they were like, "Okay." And then so we went down, and I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I knew what I was doing until you go on that first trip, because there's one very important thing about taking kids on field trips, John, and that's where's the bathroom and where's the food. So if you don't know those things, your trip is in trouble. I'm just
Yeah,
warning you right
where's the
now. So,
bathroom? Where's the food? Yep, those
yeah.
are two big
So
ones. Yeah.
absolutely. So my first couple years, I was teaching at Bishop Hannon, and I took the kids to Washington for an overnight, and then I did, or maybe it was just a day. I think I just did day trips at the time. I took them to Gettysburg, and then I did the Gettysburg trip, and then I did Antietam Battlefield. So I was doing day trips, is what I was doing. When I got here to Scranton High School, I owe a lot of credit to someone who's not here with me, who could be a huge part of this, is my friend Sean Curry. And Sean and I started working together. And in 2003, he said to me, he goes, "You think we could take the kids to Washington?" I go, "Absolutely." And I went, booked a bus, booked a hotel room, and we went down on a Saturday and Sunday. And next thing you know, that Sunday morning or Monday morning, we are standing in line in the Supreme Court to get into an oral argument. And we got in the
Awesome.
bill. We got in the building.
Awesome.
We were only in the 3 minute line. There used to be a 3 minute line. And we got into the 3 minute line, and in just those 3 minutes, John, I can tell you, I'm sitting like this, like I am like you know, it was the most amazing 3 minutes of my life to be sitting in the courtroom. And then when you come out, and the kids like, wow. And then, but their questions to us, like, what were we watching? Like, what did we see? And then that's
Yeah.
when, you come in and you explain, okay, this is what was happening. This is why they were sitting. This is why they're there. And that comes from the research that I had to do to learn how the court works and how this building works and how that building works. We started working with an organization called the American Civic Center out of Washington, D.C., that was run by a fellow classmate of mine,
Awesome.
Chris Walsh. And Chris was born here from Scranton, moved down there, and he started this company. And he goes, "Jer, you got any kids who want to come to DC?" I went, "Absolutely." And then he goes, "We're running the thing to the inauguration." I said, "Cool." At that point in time, we found
Hmm.
19 students that we took to the 2005 George Bush's second inauguration. So we worked with Chris for a couple years, and then we realized we could do these on our own. So then in 2009, we were at Obama's first, 2013, Obama's second, 2017, Trump's first. Obviously, with
Wow.
the plague, whatever you want to call it, COVID,
Hmm.
2021 didn't happen. And then we were back in 25. So I've been to 5 inaugurations. I've given kids trips to 5 different inaugurations. But we also, like you said, we also go every year. So we go Memorial Day weekend, and we leave Thursday, and we're there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And we want to leave Thursday because we want to meet our congressmen or our senators. We've been blessed over the years with our senators and our congressmen who are willing to take the time and come out and talk to us. So Senator Casey would come out, Congressman Cartwright, because they were our representatives at the time. We're
Correct.
always willing to come out and stand on the steps and take pictures with the kids and always answer questions. So we're very grateful to them and my friend Sean Curry, who was inspiring to this. So we've been going every year. We go to DC for a couple days, and then there's the big trip that happens every 4 years. We go to the inauguration, and this year we took 31 students to DC. So that's how it happened. So my inspiration was to, and I know we're supposed to be in the classroom, and that's important, but also getting out of the classroom is just as important for the theater kids to go to New York and to see an actual Broadway show.
Yes.
And we have a former student from here who's now working in Hollywood. Okay.
Really.
Yes.
That is incredible.
Yes. So
That's just incredible.
she was just in Bad Boys 4 or something like that. One of our former students.
Wow.
That's the whole point of us, is not just, it's not just like, and the English department takes them to shows or readings and stuff. The classroom's important. It's important, But there's always that, okay, if we can go here and go here, and those kids can take 2, 3, 4 days out into the world and see something and be a part of something real, then you do it. And off we go.
Yes.
We have had wonderful administrators. I need to thank my principal, my superintendents. I won't mention them by name, but they know who they are. And we don't get to do this without them or the permission of the school board who allows us to go. We have to ask permission, and they're like, do it. And off we go. You mentioned that we were on the news, and before the inauguration, we call all of them. And because I think we're the only school district around here that's actually goes,
That
so
that is now that you bring that up, that is I think that is I might need some again, we're in a fact checking age and all of that, but I haven't seen to date any school that has done it, and I haven't seen any other schools outside of what you're telling me and what I know that you do that's tried to mimic that. So
yeah,
that is literally an accomplishment to you. Mentioning the friend you keep mentioning was Steve Curry. I want to make sure I'm getting it right.
Sean. Yeah.
Sean Curry. Yeah. That's a
Well,
testament to both of
he
you.
coaches soccer right now, so he's in practice.
He's in front. Oh no! Listen, we would extend the invite gladly because it sounds like it's very something means a lot to both of you. So it's just to tell the story is incredible. So that's what I really wanted to dig into because
Sure.
this fascinates me because when you go to DC and I was there as well at the beginning of the year and I went and I always walked the Capitol. I always walk things at night late at night. I always like to go when it's completely dead silence. And I walked it from my hotel. I did the loop. I did from literally from downtown to the Veterans Memorial, World War II Memorial, looped all the way around, went to the Jefferson, went around and went back. Literally with a coffee in my hand, my hand's freezing. But walked it because it's such. There's not a word to describe it. It really is special. And when you walk those streets, Pennsylvania Avenue, the National Mall, the standing at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, you're not sightseeing. You're living history. You're walking through history. You know, from you taking those students there for all this time, how do your students react in those moments? Like if they haven't seen the Lincoln Memorial, maybe on TV or online, but if they
Mhm.
haven't seen the Lincoln Memorial, the World War II Memorial, the Vietnam Veterans Wall, like what are those reactions from your students in those moments?
We do that loop too. What
Awesome.
we do is before Sean and I head down the trip, we map out on usually napkins because we're probably sitting somewhere having a frosty beverage and discussing, okay, we have this time, we have this day. If the weather's good, we're going to do this. So we map out. And because again, bathrooms and food are important, John. This is really important.
Bathrooms and food. Let's never rule it out. Never
So
rule
we,
it out.
so we map out where we're going. But we've also researched each of these monuments and memorials. So Sean did a week learning from Jan Scruggs about the Vietnam Memorial. So he met him and worked with him. So when we get to the Vietnam Memorial, Sean tells the story and he gives it. So
Cool.
this is how the monument was created. This is why it was created. These are the quirks and stuff that are in there that you don't see. When we get to Lincoln, we stand before the steps and I go, okay, turn around. So that you're not just looking at a memorial. This is why there's so many columns. This is why the names are above or the states are above. When you go in, this speech is here, this speech is here. It was actually carved by a gentleman from the South. So by the time we're done, they're not just walking and going, cool, the Washington Monument or the Lincoln Memorial. We don't want that. We want them to know the
Exactly.
history of it. And then when they walk in there, and then my pride and joy is when we're standing on the steps and they go, where did Martin Luther King stand? I go, he stood right there. And then they want that picture. They want that picture either looking up the steps or down the mall at the Capitol. And I just stand to the side and I smile and I'm good, because now once you explain the monument to them, the memorial to them, it just takes on a different life of its own and they don't want to walk away. And we walk that at nighttime, just like you said, you walk at night because the memorials and the monuments and stuff are so beautiful at night.
Yes.
Korea is so beautiful at night. It's so, I don't want to say creepy, but it gives you this
It's an
feeling.
aura. It's an aura.
Yes,
It
thank you for that word.
comes over you. Like it
Yes,
makes you feel something walking through that.
yes. Absolutely. And you're looking at the soldiers and you feel this different passion inside you. And now that I walk the Vietnam Wall with Sean, because I've learned from him about it, and now I have found out that I have relatives who were on the wall that I didn't know about. I learned from my dad.
Yeah.
We, back in, At the 25th anniversary of the wall, Sean helped us get the opportunity to go there, and with students and a couple teachers, they read everybody's name, every name. It takes 4 days to do this. And
Wow.
we brought the
4
students down.
days.
Yeah, 4 days. It took 4 days to do this. And we stood there and we were in line. We got a list of 30 names. And you walk up to the podium and you read the 30 names. Okay. And there's family members sitting out there waiting to hear their names. You want
Wow.
to talk about like terrified that you don't want to mess up their name, but
Yeah.
humble. I mean, John, so incredibly humbled to read a soldier's name who gave their life in Vietnam. I will never forget that moment for as long as I live. And Sean helped make that happen. And this, another teacher helped make that happen. I was walking up to the podium and the lady goes, "We're a little behind. Can you step it up?" I go,
Could you
"No,
step
I
could you
won't."
step
And
it up?
right, I'm
Could you
like, "No,
step it
I'm
up?
gonna read their names as honestly and as purely as I can. I'm gonna give that 1 second pause, and I'm gonna read the next name." And that's what he did. I was like, "I'm not doing," and I still have it over my bookshelves over here. I still have the list of names, and I still have the booklet from that day, from years ago, and I will carry that with me for all my days. But to me, and just like you said, you take them to the memorials, but not just to like, "Hi, go look around." We want them to know it and to learn it and to hear the history of it. And from that comes the like, wow, and then you take them over to FDR's memorial. Now they want to stand in the bread line. They want to stand next to FDR in the wheelchair. They want to take a picture with the dog, Fala.
Yeah.
So those are the cool things. So that's the best part of taking them around to the memorials and the monuments, is taking them at night and telling them those stories. We also take them to the White House, obviously. It's very difficult to get in. I've gotten in. I've actually taken the students on a tour of the White House. So true story, John. I know this is, slight off, but
No,
we
no.
go
Listen,
in.
listen, if you ever need an extra
Yeah.
I'm not a kid, but I mean, I can pack the lunches, I can if a tire break, you say I'm the maintenance guy or something
Yeah.
like that.
So this is what happened is you have to send in your information like 6 months in advance or something like that. You find out 2 weeks
Yes,
beforehand if you're getting in or not. And I've learned this because we went in the White House and you walk in and they walk you through the rooms, and next thing you know, within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're out the door because nobody tells you anything. They're just guarding the rails and so on and so forth.
correct.
So
Yes.
Sean again says to me, he goes, "Think we get in the White House?" I said, "Absolutely." So we sent the paperwork in, we get in. Well, I went and researched every room on the tour. Okay. So then when we walked in, when we got into the green room, I would tell them, "This is where Lincoln's son passed away. And this is where Mary Todd, like, wouldn't leave the room and so on and so forth. And this is these paintings here and so on." So I knew the history of every room when we walked through the house. So it took me an hour and a half to get through the house, right?
Incredible.
And I
Yeah.
was standing there and the kids are like, and all of a sudden there's the security guard, the Secret Service guy, whoever's standing there, manning the thing like this. And he's just listening to me, right? And like I said, "Okay, let's go to the next room." And I look at him, I go, "How'd I do?" He goes, "That was really good." I was like, "Cool, thanks." And then off to the next
He
room we went.
gave you
So
feedback.
absolutely. So, and they won't offer anything to you unless you ask, so, and the
Yes.
kid, and they're terrified to ask. So I was like, "Fine, I'll do this." So poor Sean is out on the street corner holding like a dozen purses in his hand, standing at a lamppost for 90 minutes. So said, "Next time we go, you can go, and here's my script." Again, it's not just like, let's walk in the White House and walk out. And even the years we don't get in, when we stand outside, we're like, "Hi, just so you know, this is what you look at. This is where the building was built. This is who was the first one. This is why these are the security guards on the roof. The guy who's sitting across the street has been here since January 20th, 1981. And this is how that plays out." And the kids go talk to them. And John, that's great because now they want to go talk to the guy sitting there in a tent for, what are we at, 40 years now? 44 years. And I know that the original guy passed away, but that's carried on and that they can't leave. They
Jeez.
have to be there. And they're like, "Why are you here? Why do you stay? What's your goal?" And now the kids are getting feedback from the guys who were in the tent. And it's just, I'm like, "Cool, Sean, high five." And then off we go.
High five, yeah. No, it's incredibly important. That's where you're living out the history, you're living out the education, you're living out everything that a student could want, and it's such an experience. And you said as you're standing there on the Lincoln Memorial steps in there, be like, where was this? Where did MLK stand? Like I'll just how you explained like the rooms in the White House. This is where this happened. This is where that happened. Like that passion is it really, to me, it separates people that just love what they do and someone that's, doing the job, doing a good job, but somebody that is passionate about what they do. It's different. It brings another level to what people and students love and admire. So we also want to bring in so we mentioned, we also have some photographs, on the screen here from, earlier this year from the most recent trip. I'm still jealous, and there's the one right there. We could see all the kids in the front of the Supreme Court. So that there wasn't a 3-minute one for that, I don't think, but there's that picture. Those kids look happy. I just have to say, those kids look really happy and excited. I love seeing that. And here's another of the students inside the rotunda where actually the president was sworn in earlier, literally like a day or the day after. I know you're mentioning that to me. So
Yep.
look at that. What a great group. They really, this looks also happy. And here's another one of you, and I'm not sure who this is with you, but this is the hallway where the current president walked through to be sworn in. And they just look at that rug. That rug's got to cost a few dollars there. That's all I have to say. That rug cost a few bucks to roll out. That's not something they just roll out, on Mondays and Thursdays. There's probably another meaning behind that rug. We need to find that out, Jerry.
Yeah.
That's our mission. What we
I'll see what I
could
can
do.
do.
We got to find that out. But, and so all those pictures. So what a powerful and historic place to be there in the middle of all that was happening, and everything's just incredible and amazing. And moving on from that, like I was telling you, I was there, it was the day after. So, but all the whole world witnessed it on TV and all that. So it was blistering cold when I was there. I was there that day. I went down with an amazing group of best friends, and I can still picture it. And I actually had the ticket. If it was still outdoors, I would have been in the area to like watch it in front of us. I don't know where it would have been placed, but I got the official ticket and I would have been there, but they did move it indoors because of the weather. But it was blistering cold.
What color was your ticket, John?
Yeah, here's your ticket. My ticket was yellow. There's the ticket. Wait, show that again. Bring that back up. Bring that back up on the screen, Jerry, if you don't mind. Look at that. That's awesome. Yep, that's awesome. How did I know? I assumed you didn't have a ticket. That was wrong of me. That was wrong of me right there. I don't know who I'm messing with here, but this is. So I went down,
we have to thank Congressman Bresnahan's office for
Okay.
The tickets. He was able to get us, I think it was 10 tickets. So we would
great.
have had to break the kids up. I mean, we would have had to been in different sections, but we had
course.
tickets for a group. So yes.
No, that's awesome. So, when I was there, and I can still picture it to this day, just almost every street is shut down. Every restaurant and bar is packed. You can't get in anywhere. It was just history unfolding in real time. It was even hard to get to a restaurant to watch it on TV because the restaurants were packed. Everybody else was watching it. And, what was it like bringing, your students, even if it was the day after, what was it like bringing your students into that atmosphere to, standing with them, as America, turned a page, even if it was the day after? Like, what was it like? I know we mentioned previous trips, but was it a little different this year, or were people a little bit more excited? Could you explain a little bit?
Each year is special in its own way. So I can't tell you that one was better than the other because each one has its incredible stories to each of them. They just
That's what we want. We want the stories, the incredible stories.
There are some incredible stories. But this year, when we were going, we have the 31 kids. You're trying to find a hotel. You get a bus. You get down. We're leaving at 4:00 in the morning. We're getting there. We get the kids in, and next thing we're on the bus, and off we go. So we are there on Saturday because if I'm not mistaken, the inauguration was on Monday. If I'm not mistaken,
I believe I have the fact. We can check the record, but we can check that.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it was Monday. So we get there Saturday afternoon. We went down to the mall. We went through the African American Museum because we had tickets. That Smithsonian. We had tickets to the Holocaust Museum. We had that. And then we walked around a little bit, and then we went to the Spy Museum. So we got a little bit of that. Sunday we had a show we took the kids to. In the meantime, this was also happening. We got phone calls from Canadian Broadcast Company,
Incredible.
CBS.
Unplanned, completely unaffiliated, nothing in the works, just out of the blue.
Because of the local press, and WVIA also works with NPR.
Other affiliates, yeah, for sure.
Our WVIA ran the article and NPR picked it up, and then NPR ran the story. And then we get a call from Canadian Broadcasting Company. I'm like, what? And then we get a call literally the day before from CBS. And then we get a call from CBS and a call from ABC. And like, we want to interview your kids when you're on the mall. We're like, absolutely. So the kids are like, wait, are you serious? I go, yeah, we're serious. We're going to be interviewed. We're going national on the mall. And I'm like, okay.
Nationally on the mall.
Yes. So we're like, okay. And then all of a sudden, like, boom, it's shut down. Then we find out that Sunday afternoon, like, they're not even allowing you on the mall. Like, if we
Yeah.
went to the mall to even just stand there, they wouldn't let you in. So now we're like, well, what do we do? I said, don't worry. We have a plan. And we always had a plan. So what we did was we tried to figure out, okay, where can we go? Because I know that we're not getting into the Washington arena where the Capitals and the Washington
Correct.
uh,
It was a
Wizards play.
madhouse.
We're not getting in there.
Madhouse.
There's no way. And I also know how the program plays out. So I know that the president arrives at the Capitol Hill at 10:30. That thing happened, and then there's a luncheon, and he's not leaving here till like 3 o'clock, and then there's the parade. I said, he's not getting there till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I said, we're not going. I said, I know how this is going to go. So we were in the hotel, and the hotel was wonderful to us. After breakfast, they cleared out the area. There's a TV in there. I said, can we sit here and watch the inauguration? And they said, absolutely. So all 31 of us, plus all of our faculty and our nurse, who was my sister, thank God for her, going out a nurse, John. So
In the
we
family yet. In the
absolutely. Oh,
family.
yeah. Yes. So we go upstairs and we put it on and we started watching it somewhere around like 11 o'clock ish, something like that. And now as we're watching it, as they're coming through the crypt area and I've been there enough times that I know how it works. And so I'm telling you, okay, this is what's down the crypt. So now we're telling stories. They're like, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? So
Yep.
I'm explaining to them who these people are and why they're walking this direction and when they come out where they're going to sit and they're like, why are they showing this guy on TV? So our experience of the previous inaugurations is helping answer all those questions. So then we sit,
Experience.
the ceremony begins, and it is dead silence. So for the president's speech, we're done, it's over. We sit there for a little while and we just let it chill. They start leaving and we're going, and I said, okay, anybody have any questions? And all of a sudden they're looking at me and all of a sudden I go, yeah. I go, what's up? Why are we invading Panama? And all of a sudden, John, that's when the doors, the windows were open, the gloves were off. And this is what makes this inauguration so different than the others. The others, we were on the mall. We had a spot. I was up
Yes.
like on the grass on the Capitol. I was watching a guy in a tree screaming about abortion for 45 minutes, hiding in a tree. I kid you not, true story. I was back on 8th Street. That's how far back I was.
Wow.
So, but this one, now you're in the room, and I mean, and you can't talk to the kids. I mean, like you're out in the mall and it's 40 degrees and you're out there for 4 hours and whatever. You don't get to have those conversations. But here in this moment, we had
You
that
did.
conversation.
You
And
did.
all of a sudden, the gloves came off, and they just kept peppering me and Sean, my sister, Miss Mead, who was one of our other chaperones, God for her too. All of a sudden, they just kept asking questions. And we stood there for probably, I don't know, 40 minutes just answering their questions because they just wanted to know, why is this happening? What was this part of the speech about? And that was such a tremendous dialogue that we've never had the opportunity to have before because we're out in the mall. Then we go here, and then let's go get some food. And
Yep.
off you go. Where's the bathroom? So
Where's the
yeah,
bathroom? Yeah, where's the bathroom? But with this, you were not only able to witness it, experience
yeah,
the event. Now you had the dialogue. So
yep,
now I'm thinking for future visits, I think there's going to be like a 50-50. This is going to be upgraded. So that always
sure,
happens in the
yeah,
program. So you're going
yeah,
to watch it. Maybe then you're going to go somewhere and discuss it. And
yes,
then you can, then where's the bathroom? And then where's the
yeah,
food?
yeah.
Change it up a
So
little bit.
absolutely.
So when that happens, do they walk back into your class? So they get back home, they go back home, they walk into your classroom that next week or that next day.
Mhm.
Does that change them? Does that leave them with a different sense of, either just amazement at what they're witnessed, or just a different sense of responsibility after seeing history in action? Does that change like your
Yeah.
students? Do you see them change like right before your eyes in future lectures or how they think? Like, what's the impact on your students after experiencing history like right in front of them?
See, that's one of the issues is that there's 31 of them, but I don't have them all in class. I mean, I have 100 right now this year. I have 144 students in my 5 classes. We took 31 out of the juniors, so out of 600 kids, we took 31 who wanted to go. We don't
I
have
got
them
it.
all for class.
Understood.
I don't have them all for class. I see some of them. I'd say I probably had maybe half of them I probably have in class.
I see.
I have some of them this year that I didn't have last year. So some are who are currently seniors this year. What did they get out of it? There's a lot of thank yous, not just from the kids, John, their parents. Okay.
Yes.
That, is where you see the change. Because the parents like, wow, I didn't think my kid would be that interested, and now they are. And now
Now
they're
they are.
and now they're researching things and they're doing stuff. I just ran into 2 students Friday. I was over the football game. I'm sorry, I was at a soccer game on Monday. And all of a sudden they're like, Mr. Scott, oh my God, how are you? And we're hugging and stuff because I haven't seen him since graduation. And one is heading off to the Air Force this week. He's going. Another one's up at college up the street here.
Awesome.
They're like, how are you doing? What's new? What's going on? And you can still see that pride that we took them somewhere. I got a lot of notes from lots of students over the years. The DC trip was the best trip I've ever been on in my life. I get a lot of that. So I don't really ask them what was special, what was personal. I leave that to them because that's their story. But one of the cool parts was 3 years ago, we took students to Washington. And this past summer, one of the students that I took her mom, dad, and brother to Washington. And
Get
she
out.
she
Get out.
gave them the tour that we gave her.
Wow.
And now she led them on the tour. So I'm following them on Facebook. So I got to see them in July. And I said, so how was DC? She goes, you trained her well. I said, okay, great. And here's the thing, John, she's going to be a social studies teacher. And
There
when
you
I
go.
retire, she can probably have my classroom and she's the next one to run the trips to DC. So there we
And well, listen, don't want to cause any ripple effects here. So, but now and then that person's going to then you're going to have to tell that person, hey, these Hagar the Horribles, they stay in the room. They stay. It's Mr. Bill too. He stays. Okay.
Trust me, John, they want all my stuff. I don't think I have to take anything down. I mean, I wish I could show you my room and spin my computer around here, but
Understood. Understood. No,
it's,
understood.
I mean, what you're looking at behind me. So, and you can see, this is the
Everything.
federal branch here. So this is current. So this changes every administration. So when I talk about legislative, executive, judicial, I'm showing them on the wall. On my back
That's
wall
cool.
back
That is
here,
just I have to point out how awesome that is. That's just it's just like a changing of the guard. It's a changing of when administrations change, we change with the times right along with it. That's just so cool. That's just so cool.
on the back wall back here are all my local. So my Pennsylvania politicians, all the way down to my local school board, all their pictures are on my wall. So I have a whole wall over here of the founding fathers, and I talk about them. So I have the flags of 100 countries up on my ceiling because it only came with 100, not the 195. And I have the flag of each state, which wraps my ceiling. So I have this up here too. So if I ever get boring, John, there's something for them to look at or to read on my wall.
I don't think you're gonna have to worry about that. You have your students giving their parents tours at the Capitol. No, that's
When I
and
teach yeah, when I teach, the House and Senate, I have a Harris Walls sign on the left, and I have the Trump van sign on the right, and I go, "Welcome to the House of Representatives. This is the aisle. This is the left. This is the right. The Democrats sit on the left, the Republicans sit on the right." And they're like,
that's
"Wow."
just so
I go,
cool.
"Yeah." So
That's just so
turn my
cool.
classroom into the floor, you know, and that's how
See,
you teach it. Yeah. That's how you teach it. You have to make it real. You have to make it so that they know what you're dealing with. So that when they see it, they're like, oh, that's why. So now when my students come back from DC and we take them and we sit up in the gallery and they see the floor of the house. And when you take them to the floor of the Senate, the gallery of the Senate, they see the floor of the Senate and they see it happening. We've done this. Like right after Uh, I think it was Trump's first inauguration. We were up in the gallery and watching them work and watch the Senate, discuss things.
Awesome.
And when we leave, they're like going, "Why is this happening?" And we talk about that. I used to love to take him to the Senate Dirksen building for lunch. We went over there for lunch one day, and next, who's sitting across the table, a couple tables up from me, is Senator Orrin Hatch. And I'm like going, "My God," I'm like, "Mr. Scott, who's that?" And I go, "It's Senator Orrin Hatch from Utah." And they go, "Can we go talk to him?" I'm like, "You are not bothering him while he's eating lunch." So I
Of
go, "Come
course,
on,
they're
we're
saying,
leaving."
"Can we talk to him?"
I walk out. I turn around, John. No one's behind me. They're all at his table talking to him. And I'm like,
And
okay.
you had to go over and you had to sort it out, and how
I
did that go?
did. I went over and I said, "Senator, I apologize." He said, "No, you have some wonderful students here." And he gave me the gallery booklet for the Senate. So there's a booklet that has the senators in it and the rules in Senate. And he signed and he autographed one for me. And he gave it to the students. He said, "Here, give this to your teacher." So I went over and thanked him. It sits right behind me over here in my little bookcase over here. So I have that with me
Nice.
too. So no, it's been some wonderful trips, and I've been very lucky to meet so many great people along the way. Like this year, we were standing in the hallway, and Senator Fetterman invited us to his office and sat down with the kids and answered questions. And then we went down and we literally walked into Senator McCormick's office and go, "Hi, we're from Scranton. You want to talk to the kids?" He's like, "Sure," and comes out in the hallway and talks to the kids. And the only reason, John, we have that picture of us on the podium where the president stood and everybody was sitting is because of Congressman Bresnahan. If your congressman is not there with you, you cannot get on that podium.
Awesome.
That's how that happened. So
That's something.
Congressman Bresnahan came over and he's like, "Come on up and let's go." And he took pictures with the kids, and we were up on that stage way too long. We were up there a lot. And then the kids didn't want to get off the stage. It was hysterical because like, "We got to go." I said, "Yeah, there's like 80 people over there waiting to get on the stage. So we got to go." But yeah, that's how that happens. Again, we have to thank all of our congressmen and senators, Casey, McCormick, all of them, Bresnahan. They have been wonderful to us. We don't get that experience without, and having that relationship with your congressmen, with your senators, back to 2003 and four.
And that
So
and that too, how you
Congressman,
said it. How you said it, how you seen your representatives, they're there, they're in their place of work, they're working, be like, "Hey, we're from this area, this," and you wanna say hello? No pause, nothing like that. "Sure, let me give you the tour," or "You wanna come up to the rotunda or to our office?" Fetterman inviting you to ask questions like that. That's how it should be. That's
absolutely.
always how it should be.
Mhm.
Like, that is such a positive example. Every one of those kids is leaves with an experience, and it was such a positive experience. So,
Yeah.
outside of all the DC trip and that incredible experience, want to get into even more. So, we also know that you're connected with something called the American Exchange Project.
Mhm.
What is that? What inspired you to get involved? And, where like what do you see the most value out of the American Exchange Project?
The American Exchange Project was started by David McCullough III. So, if you know the great author David McCullough, who wrote
Aware.
1776
Yep.
and John Adams,
Yes.
this is his grandson. So when he was in college, he had this idea, and all of a sudden, he worked on it as part of a thesis, so on and so forth, of getting kids out of the bubble that they live in and to see the country that they live in. Because there's lots of foreign exchanges. Let's go to Italy. I'll be honest. I want to see my country before I go to other places. No
I
disrespect.
am I am I am I am right there with
Yeah,
you. I'm trying to get on the train. There's a train tour that goes from one side of the country to the other, and I want to do that so bad. I don't know if it's Amtrak or a special train, but it takes you from the east to the west, the whole thing.
yeah,
It's like 100-hour train ride or something like that, and I got to do it. And I'm right there with you. So
yeah.
continue, but I had to put.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. No, I went out to Phoenix, Arizona, got on a bus and went on a national park tour. And it was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. So what happened is David had this idea, and somehow I was teaching at Keystone College as an adjunct, teaching future social studies teachers. And somebody up there got my name because my name is out there. And all of a sudden
It
I get
is, Jerry. It is.
I
It's
get a
out there.
phone.
You got live up to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a phone call from David McCullough III, and he said, "Because I'd like you to
Really?
bring." Yes, he called me, and he said, "I'd like you to bring American Exchange to Scranton." I said, "Okay." We talked on the phone for an hour. And it wasn't just about the exchange. We were just talking about personal things. And what do you do for a living and how's your life and so on and so forth. And we had a wonderful conversation. And I said, okay, David, I said, absolutely, I'm in. So I went to school. I had to ask permission from my school board and from my principal to get some kids. And 4 years ago, I got 3 students to say yes. So what the American Exchange Project is, and I'm going to read this a little bit so I don't mess this up. It's a free, and this is the key word here, it's free domestic intercultural exchange program defined by adventure, connection, and hometown pride. That is the purpose of it. So what we're doing is I'm going to ask kids to take what my partner in this is, his name is Mike Fraunfelker, and he works in another district. I
Got it.
wouldn't do this without Mike. And now Sean, who I draw for, is going to start a program, also another program at Scranton. So what we do is I find students here at Scranton High School and ask them to take what Mike said is a leap of faith. We're going to take you and we're going to put you on an airplane by yourself. And we're going to send you to a city somewhere in the United States. Okay. And if you go to AmericanExchangeProject.org, all this, the 70, I think we're at 70 some cities around the country right now. And we will send you to one of those that is culturally different than what you're used to. So
Fascinating.
the one
Fascinating.
girl, the one girl said, she goes, I want to go to Boston. I go, you're not going to Boston. I said, Boston is Scranton with actual real clam chowder. I said, you're not going to Boston. She ended
That's
up
great.
in Sheridan, Wyoming. And next thing you know, she's at a rodeo, like experience rodeo, right? I sent another girl to Dodge City, Kansas, and she just saw cattle like she's never seen before. So then 3 students came to Scranton, 2 from Jackson, Mississippi, and 1 from Dodge City, Kansas. So I meet the 2 kids from, so they come to Scranton. It's my job now to show them Scranton. So now I'm getting kids from around the country to come to me. So now I get those 3 kids, and then the kids from Scranton meet them, and we hang out together for 1 week. This is a 1-week program. They come in on a Wednesday, they leave on a Wednesday. So the girls from Jackson, Mississippi said to me, I said, where do you want to go? And they go, can we go to Dunkin' Donuts? I go, what? Can we go to Dunkin'?
Can
You
we
go,
go to Dunkin' Donuts?
sure. Why? And they go, well, the closest Dunkin' to us is 30 miles away. So, and up here, the closest Dunkin' Donuts is 5 minutes. I mean, that's like, you can drive from one side, there's Dunkin's all over the place.
The
I mean, there's a
national
Dunkin'.
landmark, Dunkin' Donuts,
Yeah, there's
national.
a
We're
Dunkin' on
going
my
to the whole.
window. I can see the Dunkin' right on my window. So I was like, sure. So we took them to Dunkin' and they had breakfast and then we sat there for an hour, right? And then the next morning we had a service project with the senior citizens and they were running late. I go, where were you? And they come out with containers from Dunkin'. I was like, okay, never mind. So,
Dunkin'
because then
Donuts. Yep.
had to go back to Alabama and Mississippi and whatever. So the great thing about this project is over the past couple of years, I've grown a few more kids at a time. And right now I'm trying to keep it at 8 kids because trying to move them around is very difficult because it's in my car or whatever.
Exactly.
We get a stipend to cover their meals and stuff for the week. I have host families who I owe a huge debt of gratitude to, who take these kids into their house and welcome them and give them a bed and a shower and breakfast and dinners and so on and so forth. And then I show them around Scranton. So this past summer, I had students from Albuquerque, New Mexico, Jasper, Texas, Dallas, Texas, town in Louisiana, and Kenner, Louisiana, which is like the next town over from New Orleans, and then Little Rock, Arkansas. Okay.
Okay.
So those
Okay.
kids came here to Scranton. And now they met my Scranton kids who went to Grants Pass, Oregon, Albuquerque, Tulsa, Lawrence, Dover, Foxcroft, Maine, those kids. So now they went out on their exchange and now they're all here for my exchange. And and all of a sudden, John, it's absolutely amazing that you take a bunch of just graduated high school students who are 17, 18 years old, and you put them in a room together or anywhere together, and you throw in food, okay? And they will talk for hours. And within minutes, like literally within such a short time, they are the best of friends. And they're talking to each other and they're texting.
That was your case study. That was
Yeah,
your control and
yeah.
your control and your variable.
Now, I'm showing them some of the history of Scranton. So I take them on the coal mine tour. We took them on a trolley ride. We do some historical things. You got to know that. We take them to a baseball game. And David McCullough flew in from Salt Lake City to come here to be a part and to see and meet the kids, throw out the pitch at the baseball game, get on a plane 12 hours later and left, and then flew to Oregon. He left just meeting the governor of Utah to fly to Scranton, to throw out a pitch, to hang out with the kids, and then go to Oregon. I was like, okay,
You
and
that
he has
you just don't see that.
no,
You just don't.
and these kids are like just talking to each other. So I sent a girl to Grants Pass, Oregon. While she's out there, she meets two kids from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Uh-huh.
While she's out there, she flies back here to Scranton. I go, how was your trip? Most amazing trip I've ever been on. She has already, by the time she landed, she had already booked a trip to Little Rock, Arkansas. Now she's going to visit them in their town. And then they're going to drive to Dallas to go meet another friend that they met. My
All
kid.
through
Yes.
all through the program.
And this is how I've described it, John. David's vision is to get kids to talk. And no disrespect, but you've seen this too. Adults can't talk to each other anymore. They just want to fight. You mentioned the word
Yes.
politics, you mentioned the word Trump, you mentioned the word Biden, you mentioned liberal, and they just want to rip each other's face off. And I'm like, what are you arguing about? Why are we having this angry discussion? And
Yes.
what I've learned is the kids don't do that. They talk and they sit and they listen and they share. And I was like,
So you
yeah,
could say some of the kids could teach the parent a thing or two. That's
yeah,
what we could leave with.
yeah. So, John, we take these two kids from Alabama and from Little Rock, and from Dodge City, Kansas, and one of my students, and they go, we'd like to go to Philadelphia. I go, okay. So we took
All
them to
right.
Philadelphia. We're driving to Philadelphia. I'm in the passenger seat. I'm the directions guy, and Mike is driving, and I got four girls in the back seat. We're on the school driving, and all of a sudden, one person, and I don't know who it was, said, "So, what'd you think of the Dobbs abortion case?" Right?
Oh.
And John, I'm like I look at Mike, and
Did your head like creep back? So if it was in the
yeah,
back, you
I am
turned.
terrified as to what is about to happen in this car, right? And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Right?
Stop the car.
Yes, and I'm like, "Yes," and I'm like, "Oh my god, what are we going to do?" And Mike is like, "You can't go faster. You can't go faster on the school. It's impossible. You
You
are
know,
stuck."
you're right. You can't go
So
fast. Can't go
we all of a
faster.
sudden,
No.
for the next 20 to 25 minutes to the time that we parked the car, they had one of the most respectful, honest conversations I've heard amongst any kids, anybody, when you say the word abortion. And those kids
Incredible.
were just like, I was
Incredible.
like, wow, you know? And we parked the car and they go, so where are we going? I said, come on, let's go see the Liberty Bell. Okay.
You mean the car? You mean that you didn't have to stop the car?
No,
There wasn't any tearing each other's clothes or shirts off and hitting people against the car. There was
no,
none of that.
nothing. Right. And John, I've done this now 4 years, and I've brought kids here from all over the country. And my kids have gone all over the country, and they sit here and they talk and they become friends and they text each other. And they're still, the groups from 2, 3 years ago are still texting each other and still visiting each other. And each year when
There
their
you go.
birthday is, I send each of them, the kids who've come to Scranton, the kids from out of state come here. I wish them a happy birthday every year. I believe in birthdays, and I wish everyone a happy birthday, and I do that every year. And they're like, "Oh, we miss our friends in Scranton." I said, "Well, you're always welcome here." And so, what David's vision is to get the kids to talk. And what I've noticed is this, and I've said this, and he's printed this, which was kind of surprising. What I first saw was two spiders get together, a spider get together, start building a web. And what I'm seeing is that web is starting to grow and connect cities to other cities and towns to towns, and it's starting to spread across the country, and they're becoming friends because for some strange reason adults can't do it, and it's
That
sad.
is
It's
that
sad.
that is sad. And again, we're recording live here from our dialogue den. The whole point of our podcast is discussion, is debate, is like just collaboration. Because when things, so if you want to mention the late Charlie Kirk, he would say, "I'm here to debate. I'm here to discuss because when people stop talking, bad things happen. People need to talk. They
Yep.
need to talk, and we need to talk about." I mean, I guess there's certain unwritten rules of how much chaos is out there now. It's just you don't talk about this, you don't talk about that, you don't talk about this. It leads to nobody talking about anything, which just is completely. We're living through those consequences every
Yep.
day. So that's the sad part. But see,
If we
what this American Exchange Project is doing is just so important. And I think after COVID, when people were told, stay inside, don't go outside, like It's the end of the world if you go outside. And like,
Yeah.
I was personally screamed at running with no mask on a sidewalk, on a public sidewalk. Somebody came out and berated me. It's a true story. It's a true story. I still remember the day it happened. Where were we? But anyway, like this program is giving those kids a chance to talk,
Yeah.
and from completely opposite sides of the country. So this program is really onto something, and I think it's only gonna, this should be something that should be explored with many other groups. It's growing, but I could
Yeah.
see this becoming even bigger than however it is big right now.
Last year we sent, I think it was close to 600 kids around the country last year. The first year, so 5 years ago,
600.
yeah, five
Wow.
years ago we started with 20 kids. I think there was 20 kids in 4 cities, and right now we're at 600 plus kids in 70 cities and growing.
I'm not a I'm not gonna be an honor student in math, but what's that equate to? Like literally from 20 to 600.
Mhm.
That's an increase if I
Yeah,
know anything. At least I know it's an increase. But yeah, like that is a drastic increase. Like that shows a testament. It's a testament to the program. That's
yeah,
awesome.
and David spends a lot of time. And again, like I said at the beginning, it's free. These kids don't pay a dime. They don't pay for their airline. They don't pay for when they come here. The only thing they're paying for in Scranton is if they want souvenirs.
Or
Everything
if they
else,
want to go to Dunkin'.
or if they want to go to Dunkin'.
If they want to
I
go to
even pay
Dunkin'.
for Dunkin'. We even pay for
But
Dunkin'
you did.
for breakfast. Yes,
Once you throw the Dunkin' in there, that's it. You're gonna have to get boarding buildings. Like all the students gonna be flying in. Like they're gonna need their own jets. Like
absolutely. And so David has spent a lot of his time knocking on doors and explaining to people what the program does. And CBS Sunday Morning did a story on us. You can find that on YouTube. I don't know how many newspapers we've been in around the country when they've come here. Thank God to my local newspapers have all done stories on the kids and interviewed the kids. So it's all worked out great, for that. So the press coverage has been great. ABC's Good Morning America, Fox has done a story on the kids. They've all covered. Everybody's been covering it, and that's a good thing. And to get our word out there, and because of that, David is finding corporations and companies and some very wealthy and powerful people on both sides of the aisle. It doesn't matter. Okay, are willing
Mhm.
to donate and to be a part of this program, and it's been unbelievably special.
and
It's
you can
one of the
and
really one of the things that I'm truly honored to be a part of. Absolutely.
and I'm sure they're honored to have great educators and people that live up to history and values of what an educator truly means, such as yourself. And that is a testament. It really is a testament. I know you said you were. Now we're going to go to another topic. So I know you mentioned you wish you can do a swivel of your classroom. But here's the point: I have those pictures, so we're going to put them on the screen. So I have to say this: like I was fascinated by the images of the classroom. So I'll put them on. There they are, right there. So like, let's look at this great classroom. We're seeing all the flags you're talking about. We're seeing all the campaign signage. Just look at this great classroom. Look at it. Like all the encouragement. You have all the flags of how many countries, campaign signs, all campaign signs, I might add. And it's a picture of George Washington in there. Look at this. I know this is more of a festive. I think this is around Christmas time. So the lights, but you can leave lights up. People leave lights up all year. Doesn't matter the time. It's decor, So there's a class. There it is right there. All the pictures, all the signs, all the lights, and then another area of it there. And when I look at a classroom like this, like what you said, you really set up the room to be like the House, the Senate, and this is the place, and it's what America's all about. It feels like your classroom is like a true catalyst for how classrooms should be, like a standard, how, like so much going on in the world, and we can come to a place and I could just look at these images and say, these kids learn so much in this room, whether if it's just not from either the textbooks or what they learn outside and all these wonderful trips you do. And like these pictures really blow me away. All these experience, whether it's your classroom trips to DC or through the American Exchange Project, they do more than build knowledge, to be frank. Like they build empathy, respect, unity. You're getting kids to talk again in a time when adults can't even talk to each other. And that's exactly what the country needs. And at this point in time, and I want to touch on something on the heart of your teaching style, because I've seen other articles about this too, debating and free speech. So why is it so important to you? Why is it so important to you to encourage the debate in your classroom? You mentioned that you make your classroom more of a House and Senate, so that's where the vigorous debates on various topics reign. So how do you help students learn to disagree without being disagreeable? or even in intense exchanges like you were mentioning before. How do you make that happen, Jerry?
I don't know how it just happened in me. I just feel like this is something, the one thing I think I tell them is that every year in your life, you're going to have to make a decision. Okay. So defend your decision. So you can't just say, like, the uniform policy sucks. I'm like, okay, why? Like, well, we want to change it.
Uniforms.
Well, why? Well, it just sucks. That's not a reason. What is your reason? What is it about it that's wrong? Okay. So give me a legitimate reason as to why it needs to change. So my government class, I teach how local government works. I'm currently teaching them how the school board works
All
and
right,
how.
and before you even get into more, how long we didn't get into it before. How long? What are you teaching? What is everything you teach, and
uh,
how long have
yeah,
you been doing it?
that's a really good question. So I've been this is my first year.
Wow.
I can't even tell you what I've taught. I mean, there's a list of stuff. But right now, I currently teach a government class, and I've kind of remodeled the curriculum a little bit. That I teach a Scranton City government. So I teach how the school board works, Scranton City works, the mayor's office. The mayors come to class, county commissioners. Then I talk about state government, and then I get to federal. So I don't see the need of teaching 9 months of federal law. No disrespect to the federal government, but we don't need 9, because these kids are going to own houses and they're going to pay taxes to a school board. They're going to pay taxes to a city, and they should know where their money is. And that's what I'm currently teaching them. So I begin that debate. The other class I teach is called Law and Citizen, and it teaches who your lawmakers are, but that also teaches the criminal justice process. So I take the class, and after I teach them who the lawmakers are, right now I'm kind of teaching them their First Amendment rights. So today on the board was Wisconsin v. Yoder, freedom of religion. And okay, so I give them some background on the case. I go, so how'd the court decide? Right. I said, did they favor the kids or did they favor the school district? And if the vote was split in the class, I think it was like 10, 11 to 5 or something like that. I go, okay, you 5 people, tell those 10 people why they're wrong. Defend yourself. This is your moment. And then you 10 people, try to get them on your side. What are you doing? Okay. And I want that debate to happen. And sometimes, John, they just stare at me. And then there's other days where, depending on the case, they're in each other's face, Um,
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
the great debates I had was a business somewhere around the area put up a sign that said, "You cannot, no students can come into the store without a parent." Okay, if you're under the age of 18, you can't come in without a parent. Or maybe it was 2 or 3 at a time, and the rest of you have to wait. And I said, "Okay, how do you feel about this law?" Those in favor of the law, you're on this side of the room. Those against the law, you don't like the business's idea, on that side of the room. So, John, I'm sitting here, right? Every kid is on one side of the room saying this is a bad
Eh,
for the.
okay.
Oh, all of a sudden, I said that, and the entire side of the room was the kids. And now I'm like, okay, well, somebody has to take the other side. So I took the other side. So now it was me versus all the kids. And they're like, okay. I said, I'm going to give you 3 reasons, just 3. I'm going to start with 3 as to why this is a good policy. So I explained my 3 reasons.
Uh-huh.
They said theirs. I said, anybody want to switch sides? Like 3 kids joined my side. Okay.
Yeah,
And then I said, here we go. I said, I'm going to give you 2 more reasons. And I give them 2 more reasons. They give me some reasons. And I go, anybody want to change sides? The kids change sides. And then I got up and I walked away. I said, have at it.
yeah.
Okay. So now you have to create that discussion. This is not easy. It's not something that, you know,
No, it's not.
um,
It's really not.
it,
No.
it, it's something, for many people, it's got to be taught. For other people, and the one thing about me, John, is I've been watching the news since I was probably, I don't know, 10 or 11 years old, 12 years old. I've been watching the news, local news, national news. I have, like, I don't know how many
Which
things I
which
have on my
which
phone.
has we have to say, which has greatly,
Yeah.
greatly changed over time.
Yeah. Oh,
Greatly.
absolutely. But I go looking for stories that apply to my class. So
Exactly.
I'm looking, there's a tornado here. There's a the dog got stuck in a tree. Well, where do you hear the story where the dog got stuck in the tree? Because then this had to come in and the police had to come and then the family got, and they're like, what, that happened? I go, yeah. So all of those stories and all of those things that I've been watching for years help me when a kid throws something at me. Okay. I'm able to, for the most part, respond and able to quickly think on my
Yeah,
feet to respond to those topics, questions, or whatever it is. And in my law class, I get a lot of people who ask me, Mr. Scott, if this person does this criminally, what's going to happen? Well, after 20 years, and the first thing I tell them is, I am not a lawyer. I've never went to law school.
exactly, yes.
but I can tell you this, this is what's going to happen. And this is how the law is going to be applied. I said, I'm not saying I like the law. I didn't say that I like the way that they do this. Maybe I do, maybe I don't,
Yes.
but this is the way it's going to work out. So I have learned over the years, and for some strange reason, the first year I started teaching, I was able to respond and to react to things and to have an answer or to take you in a direction. I don't know where that came from in me, but I just have that ability to do that.
Yes.
And I thank a lot of that to all of those newspapers I read and all of that stuff that
Yes.
I watched. And maybe I watched too much TV growing up, but it's helped me.
But the point is, it's great because even in high school for myself, when the intranet was a global network of computer networks, and
Yeah.
Windows XP was the top of the line you can get, there was no better. I'll still say there's no better because
Yeah.
I knew that system from the back and front of my hand when Microsoft Word was big, when all these Microsoft products are big. We were given an assignment to make your own newspaper. So we were given
Yeah.
the assignment to make your own newspaper, and I took it off of all the newspapers I used to read. But I think the biggest emphasis on newspapers is knowing how to read what the person is saying and how to see what point of view they're trying to put out there, what type of either essay, or is it argumentative, or is it like fact based? But it's to give you those different points of view. And if you've read enough points of view, you can kind of see which way they're good, either leading it, not
Yep.
leading it, or they're trying to sway you or persuasive. All that's types of writing. I'm not a writer, but like you're saying, it's that you've either had TV or you've been reading, and all that is education, whether it's a hard skill, a soft skill, all of that, and you're having your students learn it in real time, and that's just fascinating. So
Yeah.
that's just it's so cool. It's so cool, like you're describing. And you said you go looking for events, and with all the global events going on out there, but it all leads back to what you teach your students. Basically these global events, like you have all these wars, everything happening, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions on it. And maybe some people have, family in the military, like my brother. My brother just retired out of the army of 24 years this year. He gets to live his retirement now. So much is happening in the world, but I know, like, all the kids in the classroom, we talked about your DC trips, the American exchange product. There's just so much out there. This discussion can go on forever, and I love it, frankly. And so when you look at these news articles that either pertain to your classroom, like you're saying, like, a dog got stuck in a tree, or did this happen, or just something simple, like you're saying, yeah, like the dress code sucks. Well, why does it suck? Defend your position, and it sucks as in a position. So, like,
Yeah.
that's so crucial that people, like, especially kids, because if kids are learning to talk to each other, those kids aren't going to be kids forever. They're going to be the adults, and they're going to learn to talk to each other from educators and teachers like you, Jerry. And they're going to learn to analyze decisions and discussions from teachers like you. And it's so important. It's awesome. And that's where you can really see when what you do is so crucial and important in education. And the whole point of this episode was education. Great teachers and
Yeah.
educators like yourself, and connecting all that back into, just, if you could say it in a word, like learning. That's
Yeah.
what we're doing. One of my classroom, we learn.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
and with all these, with everything that is happening, what you mentioned, like students getting along. Now, has the way the students approach debate and arguing issues, like, surprised you to how you see some modern adults argue with issues? Like, is the difference that stark of a difference? Even at their young age, you'd probably have to say yes.
Um,
Like how they approach an issue, that's even different, right?
I'll be honest, it depends on the student
Okay.
because, and again, everybody says, "Oh, I don't even know how you do that. I don't know how you teach in high school." I love teaching high school. I mean, I don't have, whatever issues people are having in their classes. I don't seem to have those issues either because, I don't deal with it. We're not having that discussion, like I'm going to lay the law down kind of thing, but I try not to do that. Like I want it to be, I want you to come in here and I want you to feel like you can speak. Okay. I
Awesome.
want you to realize that,
Awesome.
your comments are just as important as everybody else. So I have a political science club. We just met today before, and we come in here and we talk about things. And a couple years ago, the kid said, "We want to talk about guns." And I went, "Sure, okay." So I said, "Here's some topics. Go research your gun debate." So they come in and sit down, right? And I said, "Where are my people who love guns? You're over here. People who hate guns, you're over there. People in the middle, you're in the middle,
In the
right?"
middle.
I
Got it.
said, "Okay, this is what we're going to do. And you people who love guns, okay, are now going to debate why we should not have.
Yeah, flip the one, talk about a
You
360.
people who don't like guns are now going to talk about why we love guns. Well, Mr. Scott, we weren't prepared for that. Well, you need to be prepared for that. You need to know what the other side
Yes.
thinks and feels. And all of a sudden, it turned into this great discussion. They were like, "We never thought of that." I said, "That's what you got to do," and that's what classrooms should be like. Everybody says, you shouldn't tell them, they should not know your political beliefs. Well, that depends on the situation. I mean, I don't walk around going, I'm a Democrat and this is it. This is the way it is. No, I don't do that. Kids have asked me, Mr. Scott, are you a Democrat? I said, yeah, because I live in Scranton. I'm surrounded by 80% Democrats. What do you want me to do? If I lived in Lancaster, I'd be surrounded by maybe 80%
Yeah,
Republicans.
it's
No,
geography.
it's nothing, yeah, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with because I have to worry about my local politicians. I have to worry about who they are and who's going to raise my taxes locally. I don't really have to worry about, no offense to our congressmen, our senators, and our president, but it's the guys who are locally who are hammering me the
Yeah,
most, and
yeah,
all that. Pennsylvania doesn't have a budget. What are we doing? So
exactly.
yeah. So you have to have those conversations sometimes, but I'm not here to say you need to do this. Absolutely not. I'm telling you, and I tell him, John, right off the bat, I said, just so you know, I said, you want to talk about the Democrats? I will rip on them just as bad as I'm going to rip on the
Yeah,
Republicans. I'll rip on the Libertarians just as much as I'm ripping on the Green Party. I don't care who you are. You put yourself out there, we're going to pick you apart.
yeah,
Why? Because you need to have the discussion. So let's have the discussion. And the one thing about the kids is it's early in the school year, so they're really not totally comfortable with me
yeah.
at this
They're
point
they're
in time. They're
still
still
they're
like,
still getting adjusted. Yeah.
they can't believe I'm in their face as much as I am already. But we're having the discussions, and right now we're talking about next week is going to be, or later in this week, we're going to be talking about freedom of speech. So I can't wait to have that discussion. And I have a couple court cases that I'll bring up, and then I have a scenario of two guys on street corners reading Bible passages with bullhorns, and
Okay.
they have to solve the problem as to how do we get them off the street, but you can't get them off the street. So what laws can you pass to give them their time, but also not disrupt my time?
Understood.
Okay. So they have to solve this problem. And I said, I just stand there and go, I'm not doing it.
Not,
You got to do
you
it.
got to do it.
Like,
Yeah, that's what you think.
well, the bell's gonna ring. I said, well, I guess you're gonna have to wait 24 hours to find out what happened. So you got to come tomorrow. And that's how it has to be.
Yeah,
So make them figure it out. One of the hard parts, I guess, is the phones, is because I'll give them a question, they'll just look it up on the phone and go, "Oh, you're one." And I'm like, stop ruining it for everybody,
exactly.
So, but I don't have a problem. I mean, everybody says put the phones away. I don't do that yet because I'll tell them a story and they're like, "That's not real." I go ahead and look it up,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like, wait, that really
When
happened.
they're using it to actually validate
Yes,
or reference real facts to showing interest to finding the truth or the answer, like that's a whole nother story. It's a tool,
yeah,
and with AI, especially
yes,
even at my job, I always say we want to be the ones that are using AI. We don't want the
yes,
AI to be using us.
usually yes,
We want
absolutely.
to use the tool. It's a great tool, but
Mhm.
like, again, for college or high school, hey, here's an assignment on free speech. I want you to debate the argument. I want you to give me the history around it. I want to give you everything about it. I don't ask ChatGPT to go and plug it. Hey, write this assignment for me. None of that. No,
Right.
be like using it wisely. Hey, I need to write this essay. Can you give me
Uh-huh.
structure of how I can write it? What are some
Uh-huh.
ideas I can do? Even plugging
Yep.
it in and asking, hey, can you spell check this for me? Did I really do this assignment? Using it like accurately, using it as a tool. But I know some people don't. But I'm just saying, there's like I can tell you this because I have a Oxford AI intelligence certificate right on the wall behind me. I
Mhm.
just finished that course. It was an 8-week course, and in that, they even told us, they're like, "Hey, like this is completely reviewed by AI. So if you're using AI, if you're using artificial intelligence to do all your work, it's going to get solved out. We encourage the use of it to help make your work better. But if it becomes the focus of doing your work, you're not going to make it past this course." So, but I can tell you how beneficial it was for me, for someone that is now went to a community college school, now is taking online courses at Oxford. It was an incredible experience, by the way. You got to connect with people that were across the world, so it was awesome. But we always want to be, and I hammer it across the world. I hammer it across everybody I talk to. We want to use the AI. We don't want the AI using us. And for somebody that's in the classroom, in the arena, I'll say that's something else that's behind me. but you're there and you get to see. But when they're using it, when the students are using it as a tool, that's when it can be so beneficial. And that's the whole reason this technology comes out. Like the phones, like right, the phone, the greatest thing, right? You can learn so much from this phone, from the internet, if you want to, or you can use
Yeah,
it for God knows what else. But that's a tool, and the folks that use that tool efficiently, they can go far, man. They can go so far. They can learn.
agreed.
You have access to education about anything at any time, any moment, any minute of the day. So that's what's incredible. So,
Yeah,
but
agreed.
so exactly. And so, Jerry, as we wrap up, I want to ask something else. As one of our many guests, if you can give every student in America, they're all coming to your class, Mr. Skotleski's course. Every student, one class, one night only, right? Every student in America, one lesson beyond academics, one life lesson, what would it be?
Goes too fast. Cherish the moments that you have with those around you that you love. I had a rough year, couple times, I should say years. I lost my brother back in 2016.
Sorry to hear
I
that.
lost my mom. Oh no, just, I know you're going to apologize, but I'm so. In 2020, in February, I lost my mom. In April of 2020, I lost the dog. In December of 2020, I lost my dad. And in 18, and then 8 months after that, I sold my parents' house that I grew up in for 45 years. So those and I don't hold back. I explain the kids what happened to me. But now I've used that as a teaching tool to teach the kids like what happens when these processes go on, like
Yeah.
how the government wants this and that. I have taken the idea of spending time with my family and spending time with my friends as much as possible. I know it's 7 o'clock and I'm still sitting here in my classroom.
You could
And
blame us for that, Jerry. You'd
no,
be
no, no.
out down the road.
I know that there are also days where I have, there's days I have to sit here and I have to do work, but I've learned how to take more days to go. And when a birthday comes up in the family, we get together and we don't see enough of each other, but those moments are special. And maybe you don't get along with your immediate family. I get that, but you still definitely have friends who you consider family.
Yes.
So spend time with those people because it goes way too fast. And if you ask me, John, how I've been teaching 31 years, where'd they go? I have no idea because I can't believe it's been 31 years. What I have had, I have been blessed. I have been lucky. And I wouldn't change what I do for the world. This is, as people tell me, this is what you are meant to do. And it took me a long time to figure that out, because the one thing about teaching, John, is that, that thank you doesn't happen for a while. You teach the kids and they leave. And it may not be 10 years till you see those kids out in the world and like, you were my teacher and this is what I'm doing now.
Yes.
It takes years for that to
If
happen.
if at if at all, if at all, right?
If at all.
If at
Yeah,
all. Yeah.
absolutely. So for some strange reason over the last 8 or 9 years, those thank yous have come pouring in. And when those days happen, when I'm ready to quit and I've had a bad day, I can look at this wall right here and with the quotes on it from my kids and my students and their pictures and remember that I've been doing it right and I'm good at this. And this is where I was always meant to be. So I'm not a principal, I'm not a superintendent, I'm an educator, and I love that.
It's just not a knock on anything. But a teacher, an educator, somebody who provides value will get that, even if it's in the most smallest way, teaching to make a difference. And you've always obviously done that. That's not even a question. So, Jerry, I want to say thank you for coming on to our podcast. You have an open invitation to talk about any experience, any interesting topic, and our audience is just thanks you as well. So Jerry, thank you. What you've shared today is full of so much value that we still won't be able to comprehend until enough people hear your message. The words, that they could say that in old fashioned terms like tutelage. So, knowledge, to seek knowledge, gentleman and a scholar that Jerry is. And Jerry, thank you again. And that's what this podcast is all about. I could say that your students are lucky to have you, Jerry. They're lucky to have you in their lives. And I don't think anybody can even question that or begin to even doubt it for not a second. So we're lucky to have had you here. Thank you for making time for all of our listeners because this is one hell of an episode.
thank you for calling. And I know it took us, I don't know how many emails and stuff back and forth to finally get this to happen, but thank you. This is my first ever podcast I've ever done with anybody ever. So this was really cool. I wish you all the best and success as you continue on. And if you ever need me for anything, you're always welcome to contact me as well.
Of course.
So thank you for this
Thank
opportunity.
you, sir. And to all of our listeners out there, it's been an absolute pleasure, Joe. I mean that. To all of our listeners, remember, perseverance isn't just about pushing through the hard times. It's about standing firm for what matters, whether it's free speech, debate, or the values that truly built this country. So until next time, Perseverance Pioneers, stay strong, stay free, keep moving forward, and live life to the fullest.